I flew on the road to get here with Rohan. Rohan, today's practice was kind of short in my opinion. We'll give everyone some great 49er content about practice right after this.
Let's go get him. Let's go get him today, man. Let's go. Hey, dominate on three. 1, 2, 3. Dominate.
Welcome back to Clutch Gene Sports and Rohan's channel. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Rohan, how are you doing after practice, my man? We just saw each other.
Yeah, I mean it was an interesting practice nonetheless. Certainly, some ups and downs for certain players, which we'll get through. And it was a lighter practice. Yesterday was the longest practice that we had all training camp. They added an extra 13th session. They normally go 12 sessions. They added 13, and that 13th one went 21 minutes yesterday, or 23 minutes. Today, as a result, today was lighter. So not too much today, but still a practice where you got takeaways anyway, regardless.
Yeah, I felt like today, even in previous practices that I've been to and everything, I felt like today was a lot shorter. Now, I was kind of interested on how things ran because normally you do see like a lot more team stuff or oriented like that. But when you're mixing in like what I mean by team stuff is you don't normally. That feels so weird, man. Doing an episode standing up. I just moved into a new spot, and I don't have my desk chair. I'm missing half my stuff still. So doing a show from the standing point is very weird. But normally, like you see the 49ers offense on the field with one quarterback for a while. Like they get reps for like usually 8 to 10 reps, and then Kyle would switch. This year, I haven't been there, so it's kind of hard for me to say. But I'm curious on what you have to say about this. But I felt like every 3 to 4 reps, Kyle was switching someone in and out. Like to me, I'm like, how are you? You don't get to see anything. Like you rep one play, and then you go to the next thing right away. Like for me, I thought that was interesting for Kyle to do. I wasn't a fan of that. I mean, I like that he's rotating everyone in and out at the quarterback position. That's cool to see because they're actually getting to see everyone. But I'm not a fan of 2-3 reps and then switch.
I agree. And I mean, it's interesting. It's the dilemma the 49ers face in trying to balance having the quarterbacks that they do, like trying to balance involving every single quarterback and also, having the reps that you want each guy to have. And so the 49ers altered their MO under the Shanahan regime. Normally, it's you essentially get a drive. You get 6-7 plays. You get a little bit of time to establish yourself, and then you get pulled after that, which is a regular standard procedure. You get a few plays, then you get pulled. The 49ers, though, they did it differently this year to accommodate for their fourth quarterback. They're not doing 6-7 plays. It's a maximum really of 4 plays per drive. And of those 4 plays, it's usually at least 50% runs. You'll see these stretches where you'll have 3-4 passes for sure, but it's a good amount of running. And so there are certain times where quarterbacks get one drop back, and with the way that they have been holding on to the football too long and with the way the offensive line is played, you see sometimes it's just a sack. You don't even get a drop back really, or you don't get a throw really in a set of plays. And mix that in with my random observations from yesterday, where Trey Lance sat for nearly 30 minutes at one portion just due to the way the 49ers are operating their situation when all 4 quarterbacks are on the field. It's just like, you've got a significant stretch, and it's tough because with the amount of quarterbacks that the 49ers have, they're trying to get the reps between each other quicker so that you can get a little more continuity despite having less reps per set. But then in doing that, the next time you throw sometimes can be way, way far off. We saw that earlier in camp, and then yesterday we saw that with Trey Lance. Just an interesting dynamic overall.
Yeah, to me, I thought that was a little bit interesting, but going straight into the quarterbacks today, I thought it was interesting because the quarterbacks had a reverse practice. And what I mean by that, one quarterback started hot, or not necessarily hot. One quarterback started the day fairly decent, and the other one was like all over the place. And the next thing you know, they flip flopped, and one ended the practice really well, and one ended kind of very bad. Let's go straight into the quarterbacks, Rohan. That's the juicy part of practice, right? Well, first and foremost, Sam Darnold got the first team reps first. He was the first quarterback to go, and during that part, the first one was a Debo left end around. Probably would have been a tackle for a loss. I had it marked for a tackle for a loss, but it's kind of hard to chart when Debo's one-on-one with the player. Like realistically, if the player touches him, I don't know if the defensive end tackles Debo. If he doesn't, technically it's a throw in the NFL. I didn't count it as a throw. I don't know if anyone else charted it as a throw. The reason why it's technically it's a pass is as Darnold gets it, he tosses it forward like that. Debo took it around on that quick jet motion. The second play, Sam Darnold rolls left, hits Brandon Ayuk in the flat around like 5 to 6 yards, and Brandon Ayuk picks up another 10 to 15 yards after that. Dude, Brandon Ayuk, this is the most, been to camp the last 3-4 years, this is the most explosive I've seen Brandon Ayuk look, by far. And like I know it's been over-exaggerated by everyone, but that was by far one of the first things I noticed when I'm watching Brandon Ayuk run routes. Like, by far, he looks extremely explosive from the previous years. And then they go into into Trey Lance, and then you could go ahead and go into the plays from there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the quarterbacks, right? Essentially, Darnold got one throw. There was only 3 plays, I believe, in that only 3 plays in that first set of plays. There's only 3. Darnold got 1 throw. Lance, then he comes up and it's a run first. Then it's Lance's first drop back, but he got sacked. A.J. Parker was a free rusher here on a blitz. I believe he was out of the nickel or something like that. He was on a blitz, free rusher, got sacked. And this was not a great ball from Lance after the sack. Threw this pass well short of Ronnie Bell, his intended receiver, who was 20 yards downfield, probably threw it 4 or 5 yards short, 3-4 yards, whatever it may be. He threw it.
That one was kind of interesting because he had a guy about 5 yards shorter than where the ball landed. So I don't know if he was attending the shorter route.
So it's
going for the deep route. Like, to me, I'm like, all right, you either way overthrew the shorter route, like by 10 yards.
He either overthrew the shorter route by about 5-10 yards or underthrew the deeper route by a few yards as well.
Yeah, so like I was on that one, I was kind of interested, like, because I put in my notes, I was like, don't know who he's attending to, because like it literally landed in the middle of both of the receivers, and it was higher, that it was like way over the head of the shorter route, and it was like 5 yards before. So I don't know if he was attending which route. I thought that was interesting. I did mark that as a possible sack. Now I just want to, because I know Rohan doesn't chart throws when it is he counts it as a sack. I do. I count them as a sack. The reason is because the quarterback's still throwing the ball. DBs and the receivers don't give up. If the quarterback's still throwing the ball, that means you're putting on a rep for your coach to see. So for me, I chart it. Now I do mention, I will put in my note, possible sack, where I will put, if it's a complete full sack, but I'll give on the what happened on the play. But go ahead, Rohan.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if people do that necessarily. My reasoning is, 1, the play is dead just because in a real game it'll be dead, and 2, I don't like necessarily doing that because I feel it gives the defensive backs an unfair disadvantage.
Absolutely.
Because obviously it's a play for 7-8 seconds rather than the regular however long the play takes. But then again, this is training camp, this is practice, so it's okay to chart it whatever way because the end result isn't necessarily the point, it's the process. But Lance had 1 lone drop back. I charted it as a sack, ended up with a very weird looking ball on his first throw. But then Brandon Allen, he comes in. It's a regular 1-2-3 split today. Allen came in through an incompletion to Danny Gray on a play action. This one was well underthrown.
Very underthrown.
Gray beat Deshaun Jamison. Deshaun Jamison's looked really good. This is the one rep where he got beaten on the day down the field. Danny Gray he was wide open, and this is an easy touchdown a very easy touchdown. I don't know what the safeties were doing on this play. He was over the middle of the field and he was wide open. This ball was well underthrown. This is probably the most underthrown I've seen a ball so far. Danny Gray probably waited at least 2 seconds to get that ball. Taylor Hawkins, Miles Hartsfeld from the middle of the field, like probably 10, 12 yards below, are running back. They end up making an easy PBU, an incompletion there on Allen's lone throw before they settle it back in. And it was a very interesting split. I think the 49ers, what they were trying to do today was trying to give a little more continuity to both quarterbacks with the ones, because you see packages unlike any other day so far. You've seen packages today where Darnold got the reps with the ones to start, and then Darnold got the reps with the ones again on the second run around. He only had one throw. He had a screen pass. It was a 2-play drive. It was a pitch to CMC, and then it was a quick throw to Christian McCaffrey on a screen. And so, he only had one throw on that one, obviously a completion, but it was a screen stuffed at the line of scrimmage by Dre Greenlaw before Lance came back. And it was interesting because I thought Lance could have been sacked on his second drop back too. Didn't chart it as one, but I thought it could have been. And on his second drop back, this was another not great ball from Trey Lance. It was 25 yards down the field, intended for Juwan Jennings, who had a step over A.J. Parker. Had Lance let him, thrown it over him, this is probably a completion for deep. Lance underthrows this ball, and A.J. Parker is able to come back and make a pass breakup on this play. It was a 50-50 type ball, incompletion there for Trey Lance.
On that one, so I did mark that as a possible sack.
Yeah.
I thought Trey Lance got away from the pressure, so I didn't really see it as a full sack. But I felt like on this route, Jennings ran a bad route, and he gave no effort. In my opinion, I thought he didn't give as much effort as he could against the smaller defender. I felt like he was expecting to automatically beat the small defender with his size. Because at some point, as a 6'3", 6'4" receiver, you got to high point the ball. And I felt like he didn't really go up and try to high point it. Kind of like he let it come to himself. But again, it was a bad throw. It wasn't a throw where you're like, okay, wow, Trey Lance was a nice throw. No, that was a bad throw. You got to put it out into the grass area. If you throw it another 5 yards, you're probably having Juwan Jennings run under it and probably have to toe tap on the sideline, or you're allowing Juwan Jennings to go up and make that 50-50 catch at the high point. But I just felt like it was two different things. Jennings, you got to high point that. I feel like he had the possible position to go up and high point it, but at the same time, that's a bad throw. So either way, it's the way you look at it is quarterback situation, bad throw. Receiver, give more effort. I felt like he gave him a chance, even though it was underthrown. I thought Jennings was going to go up on the smaller defender and 50-50 it and win it. Didn't do so. I thought that was a bad throw, bad rep by Jennings.
Yeah, I agree. And it was a little bit of a slow start here for Trey Lance. Lance, though, had a couple of passes on this drive. This is where they really started to ramp up the passing. His next ball, though, unfortunately, was another bad throw. Deebo Samuel had beaten Charvarius Ward on the sideline. Lance,
and this is with the ones now. So now what Rohan's going to talk about this, because at first, the first set was with the twos. Now it's with the ones.
They flipped it, so they gave Donald 2 plays with the ones, and then they gave Lance 2 plays with the twos, and then they flipped it. They restarted the period, and Lance got the ones this time around. First play to Deebo Samuel, 30 yards down the field. He had beaten Charvarius Ward. Safety was there. It's not like he was on the play, but he was converging. Still enough room to fit this ball in. Lance overthrows it, though. This is an overthrow here from Lance. Another not great throw on the day from Lance. So starting off pretty slow. Finished this drive, though, with a hit to Jordan Mason in the flat. I like this throw because
I love the process of this throw. Not necessarily the throw, but the process.
Because on the first plays, Lance was looking downfield, and there were times where you thought he could have hit the check down. This is something Kyle Shanahan spoke about 2 days ago on Lance's interception to D. Winters. Lance looking to push the ball, being more aggressive, just didn't see D. Winters on a play where the check down was wide open. I thought I saw this go along yesterday. That was the reason why I docked his grade a little bit. Because there was a play in the red zone period where Lance had his check, or not in the red zone, but in the move the ball, where Lance had Ty Davis Price, his check down open, tried went past the check down route, tried to throw down the field, couldn't find anybody, then scrambles out and throws a poor pass at the end of the play to Ty Davis Price. This is something where you hope, he improves on, and he did here. Looked downfield, deep to short, hit his check down here. And then his last throw was his first completion of training camp to Christian McCaffrey, a dart over the middle for 8 yards. Stepped up again, solid play from Lance, but a poor start, 2 for 4. You could have him 2 for 5, but I included one of the sacks. 3 not so good plays to start from Trey Lance.
On this play, what I liked about it was the process. And the reason why I say the process, so the previous throw that Rohan was talking about, I thought that was probably Trey Lance's worst throw of the day, because Deebo Samuel had the DB beat by 2 to 4 yards. Like, there was no one near him. That's one of those ones where it has to be the old Trey Lance deep ball, not the new Trey Lance deep ball. And what I mean by the old Trey Lance deep ball is the old Trey Lance deep ball, he'd put a nice trajectory of it, give it some air and land right in the bucket. And now the new Trey Lance deep ball, I feel like it's more of I'm going to rip it. Like, it's not necessarily like the moon, drop it in a bucket kind of deep ball anymore. And I felt like he just ripped it. He overthrew Deebo by like 5 to 7 yards. Deebo had 2 to 5 yards on the defender. That's the one that, and from what I'm understanding, because I've been at the practices, is the one that Brock Purdy has been overthrowing as well. When he has a step on the defender and overthrowing it because they're just trying to get it out there. I felt like on that one, Trey Lance rushed himself, because watching his base, watching everything, and this is something that I was trying to pay attention to in the sense of how does his mechanics carry over into 11-on-11 period, because the mechanics look phenomenal. That's one thing I noticed. They look great during indies and everything else. He saw it, and instead of normally he's been stepping into everything, he just let it rip. Didn't really, kind of off his back foot, just let it rip. I thought he could have stepped into that one, had a clean pocket. That's the one you got to hit. That's an easy touchdown. That's what pushes Brock from Trey Lance into the Brock category on, okay, this guy should start. That he didn't do that. So for me, that was his worst throw of the day, because that probably should have been a touchdown, and probably is the best play of the day if he hits it.
Right.
After that, check down to Mason, which I thought was nice, because you see Trey Lance go through progressions. And then first thing I noticed of the day of camp, I know it's off topic because we're going through the play chart, but first thing I noticed, the first maybe 6 plays of the day for Sam Darnold and Trey Lance processes the field way faster than Sam Darnold. And that's not a knock on Sam Darnold.
No, that is like, no. I'm gonna go even further.
You could say it's a knock. I'm not, because the reason why I say it's not a knock is because Sam Darnold is the quarter, and you said this right after practice, and I agree. Sam Darnold is the quarterback that Kyle loves, and I think it's the same thing with Brock Purdy in a sense, because Kyle wants the quarterback to go to wherever he says to go. Sam Darnold does that, and the moment he doesn't see his number one read open, he starts to panic. And I noticed that during camp, because he starts getting happy feet. His feet start bouncing around everywhere in the pocket. He wants to get out of the pocket. He goes to scrambles right away. And I felt like, for me, the way Trey Lance processed the field was much smoother than Brock Purdy. I thought Brandon Allen even processed the field better than Sam Darnold. And that's not – I mean, I don't want it to come off as a knock on Sam Darnold, because he started off the day better than Trey Lance. But you could go ahead and you could take it a step further, Rohan.
I mean, I'm going to say this because I've been there for all 9 days. Well, I haven't been there the one day it was closed, but I've been there 8 of the 9 days. Sam Darnold's processing is slow. It's slow. And that is something that knocked him in Carolina, and that is something that knocked him in college. That is something that has stuck with him throughout his career. That is something he's unfortunately not been able to improve on, and that's my lone mark negatively about Sam Darnold. He's got good arm talent. He's got, he can make whatever throw you need him to make. He's got a strong arm. He's mobile enough.
I don't know about every throw he could make, because we're going to talk about that later. There's a few throws where I'm like,
to be honest, I don't know what he did on that throw, because I've seen him throw that pass. We'll talk about it in a bit. I've seen him throw that pass on a rope. Not today though. But to me, he's got good arm talent. but his processing
Absolutely.
is slow. And the issue to me with that, or the reason that I made a comment, I told Marco after practice, that's why Kyle signed him, because Sam Darnold's got everything he wants in a quarterback. Good arm talent, a guy who can hit all levels of the throw, and a guy who will work deep and then go short. Because Kyle will tell him where to throw. Kyle will tell him, you throw there. Even if you don't want to, you throw there, because that's what my offense dictates. And then Sam Darnold throws there because he can't process more than the first few reads, at least quick enough. And this isn't just today. This has been a reoccurring theme. And I'm not trying to overknock him, because he does have good parts of his good qualities that makes him a high level backup. But that's the main knock on him in his NFL career.
So Randall goes on and says, "My wife is a Panthers fan lifelong, and unfortunately, I've watched Sam Darnold last season. Panthers were a good team last season and no Pro Bowl offense. Talent 49ers will fix Sam Darnold's processing. You cannot fix." So let me check this out. Let me explain something. Just because you put better offensive players around a player doesn't make it his processing speed faster. It actually slows him down, in my opinion, because he stick stepped on that number one read too long, right? Like he sees Brandon Ayuk as the main number one target, and he sticks on him for so long, even though he's not there. And then he moves on to the next guy, and it's already gone, like by far. So I think, to me, that was the thing that stood out the most. So for me, I think processing cannot get fixed. I think once you stick onto that receiver, you're kind of screwed. And I think Sam Darnold, for me, that was probably the worst part to watch today, because I thought I know he has the arm talent, and I was like, okay, let me go. Everyone's been saying he's been great, been phenomenal, having good practices. I think that was the biggest knock on him. Next play, Rohan, after the Mason check down, I thought this was Trey Lance's best throw of the day. Um, this throw was, in my opinion, the best throw of the day. When the 49ers released the video, I hope they put it on there. I thought this was the best throw of the day, because not one, Trey Lance slides nicely in the pocket. I felt like he moved nicely in the pocket during this play. And it's his first, believe it's his first real connection to Christian McCaffrey in 11s, right?
It was the first day that he had snaps with McCaffrey in training camp.
And I thought it was a phenomenal throw. It would end up becoming a big play after the throw and catch, after Christian McCaffrey got on a big. It was more of a over the middle. I thought that was a nice throw. What were your thoughts on that throw during that 11-on-11 series?
I liked it. I liked the velocity. I liked the placement. It was over the middle, so it's a little bit of traffic. 8-yard throw. Would I say it's his best throw? No, I think that there were some other throws in the later portion that I liked. But again, when you look at what you want Trey Lance to improve on, it's the short game. That's where he struggled. That's where he's needed to make some improvements. And he hit a couple of short passes today, and it's not like you're gonna overly praise him for it. I'm not gonna give him an A because of short passes or things like that. But it's important to note when a player who has struggled in something is improving in that area, right? So when Sam Darnold processes better, that's something that I will note in my practice reports. When Brock Purdy hits those downfield shots, not only with good anticipation as he has, but getting it there on time, that's something that I'll note. This is something that I noted from Trey Lance.
So for me, the reason why I say it was one of his better throws is I felt like that was more of a tight window throw from where I was sitting. Obviously, I was sitting there like a pull in the middle, but obviously that play wasn't affected by the pull. I felt like there was a in between defenders, hit Christian McCaffrey in stride, which allowed him to continue just to turn up field. Like he didn't have to stop, slow down or anything. Hit him in stride. And that's why I thought it was his best throw of the day. I felt like with the defenders and everything around the middle of the field, even though it was an 8-yard throw, which turns into like 20 to 25 after the yards after the catch, from what I had charted, because I don't think there was a couple guys that came near, but the angles are terrible. I don't think you're catching Christian McCaffrey with those kind of angles. I thought that was the best throw of the day, even though he did throw a beautiful throw later down in practice.
Yeah, no, I agree. But moving forward from there, that was Lance's first true throwing session. Got 4 throws, I believe, out of that series, although one could have been considered a sack. But overall, I mean, you had a couple of solid throws, right? But they were the shorter throws, some really not great throws. 3 not great decisions, 2 solid throws there on this drive. Went to Brandon Allen after that, obviously, because Lance was the 2. Sorry, not Brandon Allen. Went to Sam Darnold after that. Sam Darnold was the 2, as Lance was the 1s. Darnold, his first rep, thought he got sacked.
This one, I wrote down a clear sack. Like, this one was
This one was a very, very clear sack. Kerry Hyder just beat Matt Pryor. I didn't blame this one on the quarterback. I thought he was just beat. Kerry Hyder beat him. Darnold hit McLeod after the play for a short gain, but he was sacked. Jordan Mason then followed that with a run, and then Darnold's lone completion on this drive was a hit to Ray McLeod over the middle for 15 yards. Solid ball there.
Yeah, I thought the next one. I thought one thing I did notice on that that Ray McLeod throw. I thought that was a very nice throw, because it just came out so smooth and fast. Like, that was probably one of his more better reps in the sense of he literally just first read, go. Like, it didn't hesitate. And to me, that's where he looks his best. And I think that's why if you look at what he's been doing, a lot of it has been a lot of underneath stuff, because he's looking at the first throw and going, like, not even though it's open, instead of pushing the ball downfield when someone's open, he's going to that first guy instead of actually reading what the defense is doing. He's just going wherever Kyle's saying to go. It's, for me, I thought that was one of the better reps from Sam Darnold. Even though, and when I'm looking at what I mean by better reps, not necessarily the better throw from Sam Darnold, it just how comfortable he looked, everything around him. To me, that was one of the better reps. Right after that, I believe Brandon Allen came in, and that's when I didn't chart the other plays, but I did chart the Brandon Allen deep ball. That was probably the best throw of the day by far.
Hit Willie Snead for about 35 yards, and it was a good ball because
I had it as a touchdown, man. If everyone else is falling on the floor and the receiver's not,
that's fair. That's fair. Like, to me, I thought the safety creeping could have potentially got there in Quantrez Knight. Could have been a touchdown because it was 35 yards downfield. It was on the sideline, things like that. Still, a good ball, 35 air yards, I'll say that. And it was a good ball because, it's not only that it's throwing over a cornerback, but he's throwing it to the sideline, not on the inside, to where an incoming safety can't make a play. Solid ball from Brandon Allen here, deep.
So the reason why I had it as a touchdown is because you had the corner, the safety coming in. Corner and the safety end up on the ground, both of them. I don't know how Willie Snead got out of there without being on the ground as well. Now, maybe in a real game, Quantrez Knight lights him up because the ball was in the air a while, and he does end up coming close to the play. But I felt like that was the nicest throw of the day. But I also felt like that was the most Brandon Allen could put on a ball. I don't know if like the way he threw it was with everything was behind it. Like, everything, all muscle, everything, all power he possibly could, 35 yards. Now, that's kind of like, okay, that's your QB4. That's cool. And if he's your QB3, you have to go to him. Everything's going to be shorter than what Purdy, shorter than what Darnold could do. Even Jimmy Garoppolo, I felt like that arm strength, to me, showed on that throw. Next play, it goes to the next series. It goes to Trey Lance. Trey Lance attempts to throw over the middle to George Kittle. And I thought this one was a good throw. I just thought this one was a phenomenal pass breakup by Charvarius Ward. I thought Charvarius Ward was George Kittle beat Charvarius Ward to the inside over the middle. And I felt like Charvarius Ward made up from whatever he got beat on. Goes over George Kittle's, not necessarily back, but wraps around and smacks it down. So I thought that was a great pass breakup. And then right after that, Trey Lance, a quick bubble screen to the left for about 3 yards. And on that one, I kind of felt, to me, the way I felt right there on Rohan on that quick bubble screen was Kyle trying to calm his quarterback down. And what I mean by that is, when a offense
give him a gimme, let him get his head back. Give him something like that.
It's like when you, as a shooter, right? You go to the free throw line, you're struggling shooting. You go to the free throw line, you knock a shot down, you see it, you get that confidence back, right? I felt like that's what it was. He was like, "Hey, Trey, I'm gonna get you an easy one. Relax. The last throw you just had was a nice throw. Relax. I know this. You're probably thinking in your head, stats. You're not completing passes, whatever. Relax." Right after that, guess what happens? I don't think he had one incompletion right after that. Like, it felt like Trey Lance right after that throw went on a run. So right after that, Sam Darnold, could be a sack. You might have it as a sack. Ball bounces off the receiver. Looked like it was a curl route, maybe about an 8-yard curl. That's what I wrote down on it. I felt like the defender popped it up. People might say the receiver
The
popped it
way
up.
that I saw it was a pass breakup and then a near interception on a tip drill. It was just a really solid play. It's hard to see, but I thought that this one was a PBU. And then as the ball was going to the ground, it seemed like Curtis Robinson tried to dive for the interception. Didn't get the interception. I initially thought it was, but didn't get the interception, apparently, according to some guys on the field. And
But the thing is, though, just one thing I'm going to say is those guys on the field are on about 50 yards on the other side of the field because the team was on this side, right? The defense was on this side, so they weren't standing on this side. They were on the other far side, 50 yards, same distance we are. So realistically, I don't know if the way the defense reacted, it looked like an interception, right? I thought it was an interception. I hope they come out with it on the video so we could actually see when they do release that 49ers video because they've been doing it every night. I thought it was an interception, but if it's not, whoever saw that, props to them if they could see from that. I cannot, you cannot see because there's players, there's everything, whether it hits the floor or not. Like, that's one of those ones where if it's a real game, you hear the commentator saying that's going to go to review. That's
Right.
literally what would happen.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, that was an interesting ball. This is kind of like the downturn now of Sam Darnold because he had a weird one there, and then the next one was a in-breaker to Ray McLeod. I know a couple of people might have thought this was a sack. Personally, thought he got it off a few yards here, and that kind of ended the first session for quarterbacks. Lance, I had him at 3 for 6, a sack that took away an incompletion. And then I also had Sam Darnold. I forget exactly what I had him at. It was only one incompletion though in the first.
4 for 5, maybe.
4 for 5 makes sense.
Either 4 for 5 or 3 for 4.
I think it was 3 for 4 that I had because I also charted a sack there for Sam Darnold. And so it was a solid start for Sam Darnold, although there is some context behind, some of those completions and things like that. Solid start. The PBU kind of dropped it a little bit at the end, but Lance really struggled to begin. Darnold, okay to begin. And then it flipped when situational drills kind of started.
And once this situational drill started, I thought this is a phenomenal part because one area everyone has said Trey Lance needed to improve on from his rookie to his second year to his third year was during the move the ball period. A lot of people who chart, especially reporters, they would always say Lance struggles during move the ball period. I thought Trey Lance was close to perfect during move the ball period. I thought he was pretty damn close to being perfect during that period, and I felt like Sam Darnold was pressing because once he started missing, I felt like he was struggling during that period. First to go was Trey Lance. Trey Lance hits Debo for about 7-8 yards in the left flat area. Shorter throw, about, what would you say, Rohan, 4 yards, and then 3 or 4 after the catch?
Yeah, so I had it total at 7, 4, 3 after the catch on 1st and 10. And the interesting part about the situational, the 49ers, what they wanted to do, just get the first down and we move on. So Lance hit Debo for it was 7 total yards, leading to a 2nd and 3. Mason picked up the first down on the next play with the rush up the middle for a first down, which meant it was Sam Darnold's turn then to run with the 2s.
And what's funny is me and Rohan did not sit next to each other, and we had exactly 7 yards on that play. A lot of the plays we have exactly the same. I'm guessing, because the way I'm looking at things, all right, me and Rohan, for the most part, chart the same. Outside of, I don't count sacks, he does. Reason why I don't, and I explained that earlier. Next play, Sam Darnold comes in during the first move of the ball period. Darnold hands it off for about 3 yards, and then the next play, Sam Darnold throws it was 2nd and 7 to Chris Conley for a first down and on a comeback. It was a beautiful throw, beautiful route. I think Chris Conley, he has some speed, man. He has juice behind him. I don't know, probably doesn't make the roster, but he's going to be that guy that
he's Malik Turner. He'll make the practice squad as that top receiver.
Man. I don't think he's making the practice squad. I think Chris Conley's going to have that preseason where he's going to have a couple of nice games where someone's like, you know what? He could be our 4th or 5th receiver. I think he is a on an NFL roster by the end of preseason. I think what he's shown, because he also gets the training camp footage to show teams. He's going to show teams his training camp footage plus the preseason footage. I think he's had a great camp from what everyone's reporting, and I thought today he looked pretty damn solid.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I mean, Chris Conley's been a guy who's kind of stood out a little bit throughout camp, and so he definitely looked solid. I mean, that route there was a solid route. Good hit from Sam Darnold. Got it for about 10 yards, and then a solid amount of yak after that. And this was on 2nd and 6 too, so able to convert the first down. Went to Brandon Allen after that, and Allen hit Jack Coletto on a play action play, just short gain, about 3 yards. Laybourne did the rest, got about a 6-7 yard gain on his carry. But then
he pulled up, did he not? At the end of that run, like started like pulling up like he was hurt.
He did seem hurt, but he came back, I believe.
Yeah, he did eventually, but I felt that was interesting.
It seemed like he might have had a hamstring issue or something like that, or a cramp, but he did pull up.
It looked more like groin because the way he stretched, he was given that like inside, grabbing the inside area. So I thought it might have been a groin, but he came back, so that was good to see.
Yeah, no, definitely. But that, like, Laybourne's run concluded Allen's little stretch. Lance comes back, and he is with the ones once again. It was an interesting start from Lance. That first throw was a weird throw. It was just like a lot going on. It seemed like he was targeting Kyle Juszczyk, but they were not on the same page. The ball did not go where Juszczyk was. Not sure if it was a route thing, not sure what exactly it was, but it looked like it could have potentially, it was a ball that hit the ground. It was low. Defenders, though, were the ones near the area. This was just a weird play overall.
This play, I saw it as either a miscommunication or an accuracy thing, but it looked like it was more miscommunication because they both looked at each other and were like, both looked right after the play, they both looked like confused. I was like, all right. Most likely looked like miscommunication. I could be wrong. Could have been a bad accuracy throw. To me, that one was a little harder because the entire defense was right there. Even when you're as high as you are, it kind of looked like a lot going on there, like you just said. Next one, Lance to Debo for about 7, and then on 3rd down, Lance, I believe, right?
Yeah. And then Debo and then Ayuk on back-to-back plays to convert that first down.
I also thought this Lance throw to Brandon Ayuk was a nice throw. Now Brandon Ayuk had to jump up and get it a little bit. Not necessarily. I don't think he really had. He wanted to secure the catch because it was around defenders. But I thought that was a nice throw. He put enough zip on it for only Brandon Ayuk to be able to get it. Nice throw, nice catch. Again, Brandon Ayuk is just a menace.
I agree. I actually liked the Debo throw a little more just because it was in traffic. Thought it was a solid ball, but both balls were solid. And this is kind of the portion where Lance begins to heat up. We mentioned how he only had 1 incompletion throughout the second half of the day. The one we just mentioned on this weird miscommunication that the defense was around, that was the lone incompletion. Darnold, though, he comes back. And his first ball, he tries to air it out, tries to hit Ray McLeod. This is just a really well-covered ball from Samuel Womack.
I also thought it was very underthrown, though. I felt like Ray had a step on Womack. I feel like if you just let it out there, let him run under it, I felt like he underthrew it.
And the one other thing that I would mention about this throw, I don't know necessarily like the underthrown part I can say, but I thought the placement was interesting in that instead of throwing this ball vertically, he had Ray flatten out his route.
Yeah,
and so it was towards the sideline more and had Ray flatten out his route, which helped Womack. I still think Womack makes a play unless it's a perfect ball just because of where he was on this ball. But still, tough throw, a deep one here from Sam Darnold. After a short run, Darnold hit Troy Fumagalli to convert on 3rd and 7. So this one was a ball over the middle. That ended that run for Sam Darnold. And then the final part of this situational period with Brandon Allen, Laybourne, who seemed like he got injured before, came back. First run, he got 4 yards. The next one was a incompletion from Brandon Allen. It looked like he got sacked there. I counted it as a sack, but Deshaun Jameson had a really nice play on this ball. Broke well for the second consecutive day and recorded a PBU on a near interception. This is the second straight day Deshaun Jameson has done this. He's broken on a ball after a sack, coincidentally, but broken on a ball and gotten both hands on the ball. Solid play from Deshaun Jameson.
If he catches it, it's a pick six.
Yeah,
It's
because of the way he was his momentum, the way that he was. Yeah.
That's one he wishes he has, because that's one where you look at when coaches go to look at the tape, like, all right, this kid breaks on the ball, finishes the play with getting the interception, and then right after that, Sam Darnold goes with the ones. And this is move the ball period. They're moving the ball. So Sam Darnold way underthrow, and I put in my notes.
This one was bad.
Brandon Ayuk wide ass open on a blown coverage, underthrown the ball by like 6 to 10 yards, and the reason why he underthrew it. It wasn't because he doesn't have the arm talent for it. It's because I don't know what he was looking at.
I don't understand why he didn't put in more of his body into this throw.
I feel like it's one of those ones, again, like we're saying, is the processing speed was so slow. Like there was people that were sitting in front of me, and like in my head, I'm like, throw it, like let it rip. At the post corner, wide ass open, dude, and never once does he let it rip. Instead, he tries to gun it, but the ball's in the air for 3 or 4 seconds, Rohan. The ball was up there probably 2 seconds. Ball was up there for a while. It gives you enough time for the DB to get there.
I wrote down, 2 seconds that Ayuk had to wait for that. And it was interesting because Ayuk ran a corner route. This isn't a route that breaks towards the middle. Ayuk ran a corner route on this and was sitting there wide open. Was
it a corner?
Yeah, it might. It was a post corner. It was a post corner.
That's what I saw. I don't know. I could be wrong though, because I'm trying to look at receivers, look at quarterbacks. So it's a lot going on. But I saw a post corner, but it could be a corner by itself.
Yeah, it was a post corner because it was deep down the field. But the point being, it was to the corner. It's not to the inside. Tashawn Gibson's in the middle of the field. He was able to run from the middle of the field all the way over to break this pass up for Brandon Ayuk. That's how much time it was. He had to make that play. Didn't necessarily. This was probably Darnold's worst ball because Ayuk was that open.
And I think that the crazy part on how underthrown it is he was so wide open that Deshaun Gibson ends up getting there, and I honestly thought it was intercepted at first. Like, that's how much like of a PBU it was. I initially was like, oh damn, he intercepted. That was a hell of a play. It broke it up. Very bad throw on Sam Darnold's end. Sam Darnold hands it off to Christian McCaffrey for about 5 yards, and then Sam Darnold comes back, throws on third and 5, 3rd and 6, misses Jennings wide ass open again. And on this one, it's a sack. I thought this one was a clear sack. But the way it happened, he gets sacked, kind of rolls left a little bit, comes back around, starts rolling right, throws behind Jennings. I know a couple people said, I think Jennings could have had it. Jennings' momentum was taking him to the sideline, running this way. Ball was behind him. Got a hand on it. I mean, Jerry Rice said if you got a hand on it, you got to catch it. But when your momentum is going like that, you are not catching that ball. So I thought that was a bad pass, but it was most likely a sack.
I agree. It was a sack. And it's funny because the 49ers quarterbacks have struggled on this throw. The throw where the quarterback is rolling out to the right and hitting a receiver on the right, all 3 quarterbacks have seen some negative plays on this throw. Trey Lance has struggled with it. Sam Darnold has struggled with it. Brock Purdy has struggled with it at times. And this was one where Darnold just should have hit the receiver. Another negative play here from him. And this was on 3rd and 6. Remember, this is move the ball. So he had an incompletion on 1st and 10. CMC ran the ball on 2nd and 10 for a 4-yard gain. And then on 3rd and 6, gets sacked. Personally, I thought he took too long on this play. Thought he should have checked this ball down. Clearly wanted a deeper route, and so he got sacked. They allowed him to continue the drive, but it was a more of a run-heavy drive. They wanted to rep the runs because CMC got a run for he got at least 10 yards on the next play, got a 1st down, then ran again for 4, and then on 2nd and 6, Darnold took a quick check down to CMC, who only got 2 yards as George Odom was there on the play. That ended his move the ball period. It was essentially a 3-and-out.
So then now it's Trey Lance's move the ball period with the 2s. Comes in with the 2s. I thought he was going to get 2 back-to-back sets Sam Darnold. He doesn't because it's a longer drive. Very nice drive, I think, in my opinion. So it's a first play of the move the ball period. He used a quick out to the right side of the field to Ray McLeod for about 4 yards. I thought that was a nice throw in the flat area. That's one of those easier throws, the layup throws you got to hit, especially in Kyle's offense. Beautiful throw, beautiful catch. Next play, they followed up with a pitch to Ty Davis Price to the right side of the field for a first down for about 7 to 8 yards. And then the next play was interesting, Rohan. Go ahead and go through the next play.
You're saying after Ty Davis Price?
Yeah, after Ty Davis Price's run.
Yeah, so this one is a 2nd and 3. Davis Price got about 6 to 7 yards in the play. They called it a 2nd and 3. Lance has a 3-step drop back here. It's a quick drop back, which normally indicates it's one of those quick slants. They want to hit a guy out of the slot, or it's a quick slant. Lance looked to his left first, looked to his right. Nobody was open on both of them. Lance, in training camp, has had a tendency to hold onto the ball a little longer and try and find a way to in a way prove he's a pocket passer, stay in the pocket, make a play. Lance didn't do that in this move the ball session, though. As soon as that he looked left, he looked right, didn't see any of his first 4 reads open on the progression, took off over the middle, and didn't hesitate. Took off over
that one was. I feel like no, that was the second to last play though. We're at the reverse.
You're saying the Danny Gray double reverse?
Yeah, it was a double reverse. So he hands it to TDP, and then TDP flips it to Danny Gray for about 20 yards, another first down, and then it's Lance
a CMC run, and then it's that. Yeah. But talking about the double reverse as well, it's an interesting one because that's a way the 49ers are trying to use Danny Gray, right? Danny Gray is a guy who has improved, I think, drastically in this offseason. He did not look like an NFL caliber receiver last year. I thought Malik Turner looked better than him. I thought even some other players, Tay Martin, looked better than him as well last offseason. But because of his draft status, obviously, he makes the roster, and you develop him. That's the reason you draft him. That development has started this offseason, and I thought, now you're trying to find different ways to get him the ball. One was with this double end around. CMC got a pitch, and then he handed it off to Danny Gray, who was able to turn on the Jets and turn this play into essentially a 10-plus yard run for a first down. It was 1st and 10, got a 10-yard play after this out of this one. Good play by Danny Gray.
And then the next one was the one you were talking about. It was the boom, boom, head around, got all 3 reads, steps up and takes off. First down. So 2nd and 4 on that one. Picks up about 5 to 6 yards. They give him the first at the 4 yards because they want to be able to have extra field. And then the last play of the day, I thought this throw was solid. I felt like Willie Snead saw the ball late. That's what it looked like to me, at least. I thought it was a good throw by Trey Lance. The reason I thought it was a good throw is because he's putting it in a spot where, now, mind you, Samuel Womack is draped all over Willie Snead. But as a quarterback, if the defensive player's head is turned towards you, so for example, if I'm like this trying to cover someone, right? If I'm like that trying to cover someone, that receiver's technically open because you got to throw him open. Now, about 25 to 30 yards, Trey Lance uncorks it, puts it inside. Willie Snead adjusts late, makes a beautiful catch. Looked like it was off the back of Samuel Womack. I thought it was a nice throw because I felt like Willie Snead could have adjusted during the route. He found the ball late. Touchdown to end the day for practice.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really solid play. I was just absolutely shocked Willie Snead caught this one. To me, did I necessarily like the decision to throw this ball? I don't know. Just because I thought, with the way that Samuel Womack was over him, you could have potentially made another play. But Lance gave his receiver an opportunity, and like Marco said, Womack's head was turned around to where he couldn't see where the ball was going to be placed. This ball was placed on Womack's back, which was interesting because Snead is towards the sideline. He's in the end zone. Womack is to his right. This ball was placed on the inside towards Womack's back. I think if it's thrown to the outside near the sideline, or if it's thrown to the back, Marco and I talked about it, it's probably broken up. Womack's able to get his head around. He's able to turn around and make a play on that. Wasn't able to do here. And Snead somehow catches this ball around Samuel Womack while absorbing the contact. Great catch there. And solid ball from Lance.
Yeah, I felt like it was a solid play by everyone's part. Good coverage, good catch. If I feel like it throws it to the back pylon, it's broken up. That's how much Sammy Womack's draped over him. I do like the attempt though. The reason why is they've been moving the ball this whole drive, right? That's kind of the shot, right? Like once you get past a certain distance, is when you take your shot. And I felt like at that point, with the twos, he doesn't have any of the number one receivers. That was the opportunity to take the shot in the offense to go for that big play. So I didn't mind the thought process behind it. It was first down. You take a big shot on first down. You still have second and third to pick up the next first down. So I didn't mind the decision. But again, like it all depends on because as soon as he hit his back leg, that ball was out. Like he kind of that's where he was going from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the quarterback situation, obviously I thought Trey Lance won the day, but it's not saying Trey Lance won the day wasn't. It's not. There's nothing to it because he started terrible.
Right.
He started terrible. He ended the day 5 for 5 or 5 for 6, whatever you want to. If you consider the, I thought it could have been a sack on the one to Kyle Juszczyk, but it was a bad throw, incomplete either way. So 5 for 6 to end the day. So phenomenal to way to end the day, but Sam Darnold was opposite. He started the day really hot. Started about I want to say he started 4 for 5 or 5 for 6. Ends the day like 2 for 6. To me, I'm like that's a rough finish, especially when the guy you're competing with finishes the day with a touchdown pass, like, and finishes going 5 for 6. So, kind of hard to say who won the day. I don't think Brandon Allen won the day. I mean, even though he's 6 for 8, with a nice throw to Willie Snead, which probably would have been a touchdown, I don't think he won the day. I think his pass he lacks arm strength. He lacks the size. Like he's a stronger, I guess, Nick Mullins. That's what I
Yeah.
would put it. Stronger Nick Mullins. That's about it.
To me, I mean, Trey Lance won the day, and I thought it was pretty clear he won the day. But I was not impressed by any quarterback today. If I'm being honest, I was not impressed in the fact that I thought that both quarterbacks had their fair share of ups and downs. We'd seen some pretty solid quarterback play on some days over the past few days. Nothing tremendous. I've only, I think, given one A grade or maybe two A grades of any quarterback performance in the 9 days of training camp. That tells you how middling this quarterback competition has been so far. Lance today, I'm giving him a B minus to a B. Darnold, I'm giving him to a C minus to a C. So
That's fair.
Lance won the day, but to me, winning the day like still comes with the negatives that Lance had with the 3 dropbacks of his first 5, resulting in negative plays. I thought, there needs to be a little more consistency in that portion. Darnold, 7 of 10, and I think he had 2 sacks is what I charted, but that 7 of 10 did not look good. Like when you look at the stats, Lance was 8 of 12, Darnold was 7 of 10. But when a lot of them are dink and dunk, or not dink and dunks, I don't want to use that term, but shorter passes and screen passes and things like that, and passes that you expect the quarterback to make, whereas some of the open throws down the field they aren't making, that's when the completion percentage kind of goes out the window, and you truly have to evaluate what each throw was. Not impressed by the quarterbacks today, and unfortunately, that has been a reality this entire offseason.
So I don't track quarterback sacks. I had Trey Lance 8 for 12, and I had Sam Darnold 7 for 13, I believe. If I go back, I'll double check and I'll post it on Twitter. I believe I had him 7 for 13. So this is the way I put it. Me and my fiance were driving home. I asked her a question. I was like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on the quarterbacks today?" And she was like, "Well, they played football. They played well. I mean, Trey played at the end, played well." And she used the way she put it to me, I thought was the best way to put it. I didn't think Brock Purdy did anything crazy last season. Stats were phenomenal. I didn't think he played great like everyone thinks. I'm in that side. I don't think I'm not a hater of him. I think he could be a good NFL quarterback. I think he could lead us to a playoff run. But the way I see it is with him not producing anything last year, like or showing me anything. Trey Lance has improved drastically. Sam Darnold didn't impress me, but even with the drastic improvement from Trey Lance, what I see is, for example, and I know people are going to take this the wrong way. When you have a great high school quarterback leave to college, and then all the sophomores on JV or the little juniors on JV are getting ready to compete for that starting job on varsity. That's what I see right now. That's literally what I see. My fiance agreed with it. That's what I see right now. To me, there's no quarterback, in my opinion, that is standing out like is the new guy. And I don't want people to think the varsity quarterback that graduated is Jimmy Garoppolo because he was also the JV quarterback. So I know people. That's what I mean by people are gonna take it the wrong way. But for me, I feel like a bunch of the quarterbacks are competing for that varsity job, and I don't think they have that varsity quarterback just yet. Now, I think Lance right now, they're all so close to being like they're all so close to each other that I think Lance by the end of the season could be your varsity quarterback, could be that guy. I think Brock Purdy at the end of the season could be that guy. I do not see Sam Darnold at the end of the season being that guy. That's what I got to take on the quarterbacks today, at least from Sam and Darnold, Sam and Trey, and using what I saw from Brock last season. Rohan, who stood out to you today during camp?
Yeah, and before I say that, I want to say this last portion on the quarterbacks. I like the analogy, but to me, here's what I would have wanted. I would have wanted at least one guy to really stand out to me. I don't think I'm not opposed to what the 49ers did with Brock Purdy. Shut down a chance for him to have a guy looking over his shoulder. Shut down that chance. But I like to tweet that Vish Kumaran put out today saying the 49ers having 4 solid quarterbacks is not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And, sure. Well, first of all, Brock Purdy hasn't been the best quarterback this training camp. I can't say that.
Who has?
At the moment, so if you asked me this maybe 2 days ago, I would have said Sam Darnold. At the moment, with a couple of downer performances from Darnold and some okay up performances from Lance, I might creep it towards Trey Lance, or probably more so at the even mark at this point. Between those two, with Darnold, but the point is Purdy is 3 right now, but Purdy is also on the up.
Yeah,
I don't want to say he's on the downtrend. He's 3 just because of the beginning of training camp. But overall, you wanted a quarterback to blow you away, and I can't say that that's been there so far. And you can point to whatever you want. You can point to what you hope the quarterback will be at the end of the season and things like that. And Trey Lance has definitely improved drastically. But I don't think that's saying much. I didn't think he was a starter as a passer. I didn't think he was an NFL starter as a passer last offseason when he was a quarterback, which is why I was fine with the way Kyle Shanahan utilized him, because it allowed him to really incorporate what was best for the 49ers offense and best for his development, which is getting him open throws off play action and off different packages because they were stacking the box and giving one-on-one coverage. That was there. Obviously, unfortunately, Lance gets hurt and things like that. But right now, not that impressed with the quarterbacks. There have been some good days. There have been some bad days. And there have also been some consecutive days where quarterbacks have stacked performances. But I was hoping to give out more A performances this year. And instead, I've given out more C performances this year.
Yeah, and I think like Kenneth Goldsmith in the chat says, I think what's going to separate a quarterback is going to be the joint practices, in my opinion, for training camp, not necessarily for the QB ones, but I think that's locked in with Brock Purdy at the moment. But
I agree. Yeah.
Moving forward, who are some standouts during practice today? Because I have a few that are like, whoa, I haven't seen you in a year from training camp, and whoa.
Yeah, I mean, we can go 1-1-1-1, and so the way that I'll first give it out, I mean, there's the obvious ones. I want to give a shout out though to a guy who I've been giving a little bit of love to recently. That's my boy Taco, man. Shout out to Taco Charlton. Taco is a guy who I'm just impressed with so far with the way that he's composed himself both in the run and the pass game. And again, most of Taco's reps come with the 3s. Some come with the 2s because he's right off the street. But Taco won 2 reps today against Leroy Watson in one-on-ones. A solid day for Taco Charlton in one-on-ones, and I thought he also looked solid. He just looks solid overall. And if he's a guy who can consistently win one-on-ones with solid pass rush moves, he's a guy who you now seriously might have to start considering for your defensive end position. Because, for example, you've got Drake Jackson there. Personally,
Didn't impress me.
Drake Jackson's a guy who my love for him was high early in training camp, and it's dissipated a little bit. I haven't been as impressed as of late. I'm not going to knock anything until I see him in preseason and things like that. But, you do want strong defensive ends on this team. Taco Charlton's a very unique case because he's 6'6", he's 260 pounds with great length. He's a Chris Kosaric special.
So you're going to go Taco Charlton. I'm going to go, and people have given this guy praise all training camp. My first time seeing him since last year. I think running back 2 is a lock. I think Ty Davis Price is a running back 2.
Interesting. Over Mason.
Over Mason, over Mitchell. I have not seen a running back hit holes like Ty Davis Price with the power at the same time. Ty Davis Price looks phenomenal. He's going to impress during the preseason. Now, obviously, Mitchell's your running back 2 if healthy. But if I'm Kyle Shanahan, I think the Lightning and Thunder is Christian McCaffrey, Ty Davis Price. You got your Lightning and Christian McCaffrey, who is extremely explosive out the backfield, could run routes in the slot. But I think Ty Davis Price's route running to me was impressive. It was good enough. But him out of the backfield, man, his jump cuts and he's not losing speed. He was running very, very well. That to me was by far like the biggest shock because everyone, oh my God, Ty Davis Price looks incredible.
It's not just a camp thing. It's not just an overall thing. Today, Ty Davis Price was on my standouts list. He was good.
He was phenomenal. I thought today was phenomenal. He no longer has that college body. He has an NFL running back body. He lost his baby fat. He lost that baby fat. He looked muscled up. It doesn't look like he has that the bigger belly he had last year. Dude looks impressive, man.
Yeah, Ty Davis Price looks good. One of mine, I'm going to go in a different route, and I'm going to go with a guy who I feel has impressed me throughout training camp, a guy who not many people have talked about just because he's not a starter. And it's a position that, when you're not talked about, it's also normally pretty good. I'm going to go with Samuel Womack. Samuel Womack, to me, has impressed, and today was another day. There was a big catch he gave up, the touchdown to Willie Snead. I thought he couldn't have played better coverage, though. I honestly thought that was great coverage. Had a PBU on a play where I believe it was Ray McLeod had a step on him. Mm-hmm. Overall, Samuel Womack looks good. He looks, like I said yesterday, he looks the portion of an NFL cornerback. He looks bigger. He looks stronger, and that's going to help him in the run game. But he also is matured and poised enough to take over that CB1 role with the backups. If anybody goes down, I am confident this year more than last year for sure that Samuel Womack can take over. Last year, especially with him on the outside, I wasn't as confident. I didn't think he was going to be able to keep up despite his arm length. I didn't think he was going to be able to keep up, and he struggled a bit at times. This year, I think that he's gotten over that, that rookie hump, and I think he looks the part of a backup, at least for the 49ers, a top backup cornerback.
To me, a standout that I was like, whoa, that guy looks good today. I think it's interesting to say because I haven't been there all camp, but correct me if I'm wrong. Danny Gray might be the receiver 3 right now. That's the way I have. Hey, Juwan Jennings, I think he's a solid receiver 3, but if you're gonna let it rip, you're gonna have your offense is gonna be start passing the ball more. There was 3 excellent plays, maybe 4 or 5 actually, that I watched Danny Gray run a route. He blew like freaking. To me, it was insane how fast he got by Jameson. Jameson. Everyone was like praising this Jameson. I thought he had good practice today. No fault on him. Everyone's praising him, and he burns them. I'm like, whoa, on a poster. I'm like, damn. Brandon Allen throws him by like 10, 15 yards. Danny Gray, 15-yard curl route.
Yeah, he had another nice catch, and then he had the end around.
But even then, on other routes, he's finally using his speed to step on the receiver's toes. Like that's the biggest difference. And I wrote about it on Sports All 49ers for Grant. If Danny Gray could use his speed to step on receivers, defensive backs' toes, he's gonna be a good receiver in the NFL. If he stops using his speed to be a one-trick pony, his route tree looks way better. I think Danny Gray has been a win today by far. I don't know if during camp it sounds like it a little bit, but today he impressed me incredibly.
Danny Gray has been a clear winner of training camp. I was live with Grant yesterday. We talked about our most improved players and the guys who we thought were winners at every position. Danny Gray was the guy at the receiver position, and that's one that's pretty loaded. In the back end, that's one that a lot of guys on the back end have had some good performances. You can talk about days Chris Conley has played well. You can talk about days Tay Martin has played well. You can talk about days even the incumbent guys have played well. And to me, while I won't go as far as anointing Gray as wide receiver 3, I do still believe the 49ers are going to implement Jawan Jennings. My stance on him not being a factor in 2023 and more so a bigger factor as the slot guy in 2024 has softened a little bit. I think they'll find a couple of ways, a couple of plays a game for him to be incorporated and find a way to utilize that speed. But the observation you made was spot on in that Danny Gray has now found a way to use his speed properly. In college and in his rookie season, the issue was he would conform some of that speed. He would lower some of that speed in order to be able to run the route because he wasn't utilizing that combination well. And that also, on top of that, his releases weren't good. There were 4 or 5 plays I could look at in one-on-ones. Danny Gray did not move past the line of scrimmage last year in one-on-ones. He is looking better with his releases, which also is attributed to him becoming stronger this year. And he also looks the better part as a route runner, being able to utilize his speed to the fullest capacity while running these routes, which comes to stepping on his receiver's feet. That's very important. And Danny Gray has done his part. While I don't know what exactly that role will be for him this year, I still think all of the incumbents have played well. The 49ers have made it clear that they want to see him get more reps, at least in practice. And that's something that definitely you can enjoy.
Absolutely. Another guy that stood out to me during practice, Marcelino McCrary Ball. It's weird, man. Him next to Dre Greenlaw, it's like his little mini-me. I thought that was an interesting guy during practice because during practice he gets runs with the twos. I thought he made a lot of nice plays. Would have been a lot of tackles for losses. Felt like he is a seek missile. Seeks the ball and he gets there fast. Solid in coverage today. A guy that I'm like, you can't really say that he doesn't look good. He does everything solid. He could be in play for linebacker 3. I know right now Oren Burks is there, but for me, I think Marcelino McCurry Ball, man. I think he might be coming for that linebacker 3 spot, man.
I think that's I think that honestly, in my opinion, he is closer to earning a starting spot than he is to being on the roster bubble. He's a roster lock for me. He's a very good player, and I think he is close to winning that linebacker 3 spot. And while I'm a little more bullish on Oren Burks than other people, I've heard the question now with if McCurry Ball can earn that LB3 spot, is Burks expendable? Because he's not going to be starting. He's a prime special teamer. Personally, I don't believe so. I think he remains on this roster with his value at special teams, which gets other guys expendable. But personally, I believe Burks remains on this roster. But good signs from McCurry Ball.
Yeah, I think Burks would make the roster because of special teams. Another guy that I thought played very well in the absence of Aaron Banks and John Feliciano. I felt like he did a phenomenal job stepping in at the left guard spot. Didn't really see him make any mistakes. I don't think I've seen him give up a pressure. I could be wrong, but I felt like he played really well today.
He was on my list as well, and the reason is the last few days that the interior has seen a good amount of pressure. And a clear thing today, there was no Arik Armstead, so that probably aided a little bit. Javon Kinlaw played in there instead of Arik Armstead. But I liked today's day from Feliciano, and something to me, I tweeted it out earlier, is becoming clear. He's their best backup offensive linemen. At least that's what the coaches think. Feliciano is being played at first team left guard. The lone day he wasn't the first teamer without Aaron Banks was when he was injured. But when he came back from injury, he slot in over Nick Sakel and Jason Poe at that left guard spot. He has played there. And it's funny because Chris Forster said he believes Feliciano's best spot is at center. It's a very interesting thing what the 49ers are doing at center. They aren't playing Nick Sakel at center. They're playing him at guard. They're not playing Jason Poe at center. They're playing him at guard. Same with Feliciano. It seems like they understand they're comfortable with all of those players at center and instead are trotting out Keith Ishmael, who won't make the roster. He's not been good. But they're not playing the regular guys at center. And if Feliciano is getting first-team reps at guard in Banks' absence, imagine what they think about him at center. I think the 49ers believe he's their best guy, which makes sense for the money they gave him.
Absolutely. I do think he is the best backup guy for the interior. I think the best tackle is after Cole McKivitz and Trent. I'm very impressed with Leroy Watson, bro.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you?
Hey,
Don't disrespect my boy Leroy. I told you this in OTAs.
You did say during OTAs. You did say that. You did mention that. Hey, he might be better than Colton McKivitz at tackle.
Okay, I don't know if I'll go that far just because he played against the one guy, but
I would. He did play against the ones when Trent Williams was gone.
Oh no! I mean that
right tackle.
Yeah.
Right. But he impressed me, man. Like his athleticism.
Leroy.
Obviously, he's a former tight end, pass pro. One of the first guys out there during camp today, working on his pass set. Very determined guy. I felt like he was a winner for me today. I felt like I went in like I'm not expecting like I go into training camp with the mindset of I'm not gonna watch a certain guy. Like I'll try to I did send out a tweet. I'll try to watch certain guys for some people, but I don't like going in with the mindset of I'm gonna watch this guy. I want to see who stands out. Like to me, because if you go in and you're just watching, for example, if I go in and I'm just watching Danny Gray, I miss the other receivers. I want to see who's standing out, right? And I thought Leroy Watson on the offensive line, I think he stood out, man. Hey, he's a lot to make the roster. I think he's way better than Jalen Moore at tackle.
He is easily their best offensive tackle behind the starters.
Whoa, I'm going to crop that. You just said Leroy Watson is the best offensive tackle, my boy.
Behind the starters. But Leroy,
did not just say that.
Leroy's been solid. And, it was the most impressive day to me was the day he started. They allowed 0 sacks that day. Leroy was with the first team, and it was against the full first-team defensive line. The only guy in my notes that has been giving Leroy some problems is Taco. That's the only guy that's been giving Leroy problems. He's done well against Drake. He's done well against Farrell. Just Taco. Good start to camp for Leroy. He looks the part of a left tackle, which is important because remember, he's a tight end convert to offensive line. He looks the part of a left tackle, and he's easily better than Matt Pryor. Matt Pryor is not good. He is easily better than Matt Pryor. Jalen Moore is also not that great.
Yeah, but Leroy, he impressed me. Very I was watching him like, damn, like this dude barely converted a tackle. What 3 years ago? Wow, I was impressed. 6'5". I'm curious. I want to go. Like I'm more intrigued because I've always thought he was this dude's just a developmental guy. Like good project guy that they have. Hey, he's a dude. He's impressive.
100%.
And I said this last year about Burford right away. I said it. First one day of camp, boom, impressive. Ends up being the starting right guard all season. Going to be a Pro Bowl guard, in my opinion, one day. Leroy Watson is a eventual potential replacement for Trent Williams if he retires within the next 2 to 3 years. I'd be comfortable with Leroy Watson starting at left tackle one day.
And I'll say this because I want to give props where props is due. If Leroy Watson turns into a starting caliber left tackle, Chris Forster, you got to give him his props because he's already, in my opinion, he's already the second best offensive coach. He's better than Brian Griese with his track record and his longevity. He's the second best offensive coach on the team, but you got to give him his props. He's able to develop really a guy from scratch, a guy who hadn't played the position all the way to a starting tackle.
I'm gonna give you some pushback on that.
Go for
I
it.
would not give, and it's gonna sound weird, but I would not give Coach Forrester the credit for it because these coaches only work with them for so often. They don't work with them in the
That's fair.
summer. So
Oh, I mean, obviously, give the player the most credit.
I would give the players whoever he's working with in the offseason, his personal trainer that he's working with, the offensive tackle trainer. I would give him the most credit because what he did with this tight end who was 6'5". It looks like he has 35-inch arms, which is insane.
Mhm.
I believe that's what I'm looking at. If that arm length is 35, that's insane. And he looks the part. Hey, he's done a phenomenal job. I'm impressed. But I do think, like you saying, I do credit Forrester for adjusting and helping him. But I would give credit to whatever personal coach he's going to. I think he's done a phenomenal job with him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Anything else, Rohan, during camp that stood out to you?
Nah, man. I mean, we talked about the standouts. We talked about the quarterbacks. It was a lighter day, right, today. So there's not as many storylines necessarily that we can push out today compared to other days. Still a productive day for maybe non-quarterback position. Still a productive day, but liked what I saw from a couple of players. Pointed out the standouts, and definitely excited to go back for the final day of training camp on Monday.
Did anyone disappoint today?
Sam Darnold, I would say he disappointed.
I was.
I mean, I don't know though. Disappoint to me is like tough. I don't normally put so instead of saying disappoint, I'll say stock down. That's the way that I normally phrase it in my
stock
articles.
down. Yeah, that's much better to say.
To me, disappoint is different because I think you have to have really
You also have to go in with the mindset of, oh, this guy's he's gonna do good. Like that's the kind of mindset you would have to go with. To the way I worded that, you're right. Is the wrong way to put it. More so stock down because if you go in with the mindset of, I'm expecting to watch this guy do well and he doesn't do well, that's when you become disappointed. And I know you and I don't go in with the mindset of watching someone to do well.
Right, exactly. And so I'll still involve Sam Darnold for the reason that I thought I've said it. Personally, he's been the most consistent quarterback of the 49ers, and it's starting to even out because other quarterbacks are starting to stack good days as well. But he's been consistent, and there's only been one bad day, one really fluky day from Sam Darnold, which is the day I gave him an F. But today was a day where he didn't get a B, B minus, B plus, anything below. I don't think there's been many days where I've given Darnold below a B minus. Today, though, is certainly one of those days, so I'll involve him. What about you? What are you thinking?
Two guys that disappointed me, or stock down, I shouldn't say disappointed. Stock down I have for is Drake Jackson and Clean Farrell. Clean, I don't know, like Farrell, man, like.
So you're having the reaction that I had on day one about Cleveland Farrell.
Hey, like.
He's not good, man. He's not a good pass rusher. He might be a solid run defender. He's got no pass rush numbers.
Even that, I saw him get whooped on. Like, well, all right, what are you here for? You're here to just get like, I don't know. I was like, wow,
like when I made all of my lists pre-training camp projection list primarily based on salary cap and my personal thoughts on the player. That Cleveland Farrell was a lock. There's not a chance he's a lock, but I don't know if the 49ers can eat the amount of money. I forget exactly what his contract. If it's only $1 million, they might eat it because there are other players better on the team.
Yeah, like to me, I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, and then even with Drake Jackson, I felt like Drake Jackson has one good rep and then follows it up with 5 bad reps, or like has a great rep and then it's like the terrible rep. I'm like, all right, like I want to follow up a good rep. Come on.
I agree.
Like, for me, pass pro wise, it's one of those things where when his dead cap for Clean Farrell, I looked it up real quick. He would eat 1.8. So if he's released, it's 1.8. He's not getting. I don't think
that's a lot of money. Yeah,
that's a guy they probably trust inside, and play on base down.
Maybe he plays like Cleveland Farrell to me is the definition of a team player. He doesn't play well in one-on-ones, but he probably benefits better when other players around him are really good and open up freer opportunities for him. We'll see how that goes. I'll hold my reservations given the cap hit until preseason, but continue with Drake.
With Drake, so as a defensive lineman or anyone in general, so like if you're trying to go around someone, I'm not gonna run straight at you, right, Rohan? Like if I'm trying to get by you. I'm not gonna run straight at you. I'm gonna try to go
Right.
around you and attack half of your body. He attacks too much full body. Like he goes squares up with you. No, you gotta attack half the body. Use your hands. He fights with his hands, but doesn't get anywhere because he's attacking the full body. So for me, I was like, okay, I didn't see the improvement everyone was talking about. I see the same player from last year, and for me, I'm like, I was thinking people were speaking highly. I went in, watched a lot of him in a way because I was like, okay, I want to see what he does during this rep. Nope, during one-on-ones, I was like, all right, that's. And what I mean by watching him is during one-on-ones. One-on-ones is right next to me. I don't watch
Right.
certain players during team drills. Watching him during one-on-ones, I'm like, all right, you attack, okay, didn't, nope, all right, okay. Um, stock down on him. Stock down on anyone else. Oh, a player that I forgot to mention during the standouts. I thought not Isaiah, Oliver. Isaiah Oliver?
Yeah, Isaiah
Isaiah
Oliver. Yeah.
Isaiah Oliver. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking, but Isaiah Oliver. I think he looks really good. I don't know.
He's a lock for slot. He's a lock.
Easy starter by far.
Yeah.
I think he is a guy that I was like, okay, nice coverage. Oh wow. He's gonna be blitzed a lot. I had something. He's gonna be blitzed a lot.
Yeah.
Coming off the edge. I like that idea. For coaching, actually, team. I'm gonna go coaching. Stock down on all the coaches. No, I'm not even. No joke. The energy was terrible.
Tell me why.
The energy was terrible today.
Oh, the energy. Oh,
like at some point, someone you could go coach, play the team in general, whatever you want to put it. The team was the energy.
Actually, you know what? I like that argument. The energy was way lower than yesterday. Yesterday, the energy was high to the point where Alex Barrett won a one-on-one rep against Trent Williams with a long arm and talked some to Trent Williams, man. He went to his face and talked some smack. The energy was high yesterday.
Like today, it was interesting because I was standing there during team period and during a couple of individual stuff, and I was talking to the guy next to me, and I was like, man, is it me, or it kind of felt at times boring, like in the sense of and football is not boring, but like what I mean by like the players are just going through the motions. Like Fred normally hyped. Normally that guy is normally freaking on 100. He was like, made a play, didn't go talk to anyone, like kind of just like, all right, yeah, that's cool. Dre Greenlaw. Oren Burks punches the ball out. Dre Greenlaw runs over to him, hyped up. Oren Burks kind of like, thank you. Like, just walks to him like, bro, like, the most excitement of the day I saw from the entire team was the Willie Snead touchdown when the entire offense went and swarmed Willie Snead. Outside of that, I was like, all right, what are we doing here?
I think that honestly, that's the best one. Stock down, the best option is the coaches for that because the energy was way lower today. And I'm sure, go ahead. I'm not going to read them. Go ahead and read any practice report. You'll probably see a very similar sentiment. And
to me, I'm like, because it sucks. I literally got home, haven't been able to talk to anyone. Because literally, I drove. We went and ate Smoke Eaters. I'm going to plug Smoke Eaters. Stock up. Okay, stock up. Smoke Eaters. If you're ever in Santa Clara, in the Niners area, stop by Smoke Eaters. Phenomenal chicken wings, phenomenal beer selection if you're over 21. Smoke Eaters, stock up. I stopped and ate. Every time I'm in Santa Clara, I stop at Smoke Eaters, I eat. Drove home. Rohan told me we were going at 4, so I stopped, got a safe for my house for my strap and everything, put my stuff in there. So for me, I was like, damn, I can't even talk to anyone because I'm driving. So I wanted to talk to other people that were there. And I'm like, man, and the whole drive, I'm like, thinking about it, it was like, I felt like the energy, the vibe was just, even from the fans, like, that were there, like, it was kind of like,
Normally it's like a reciprocating thing.
Yeah.
Players come, they hype fans up. Fans then get really hyped, and then they hype the players up during performance.
Yeah, like, it was interesting because, like, you kind of like, just going with the flow. And I was like, damn, all right. I don't know if that's how practice is. I always thought, like, damn, today's practice feels kind of – I know in the past couple of training camps that I've gone to, like the players are like after a play, like you'll see Fred like go like this, or you'll see him
Right.
get in someone's face and then look at the crowd and does his flex thing. I don't know. That's something that I caught on today. I was like, that's interesting.
No, I think that that's a good observation and a very, very observant one to end the day because there was a lot that went on today, and everybody that was in here with their comments or with just tuning in, we appreciate it because there's a lot of interesting information and a lot that goes behind the scenes that we get to see because we're there, and so we appreciate you guys tuning in. Making sure you guys giving us your support and things like that. We appreciate it. Before we head on out, though, I do want to say make sure you guys go ahead, subscribe to both channels. The links are in the description. Make sure you go ahead, show both of us some love because we're going to be here providing you some more content, especially when we come back on Monday. Tomorrow is going to be a fun show day as well. I've got Rob Stats Guerrera on the channel, probably talking
Okay.
camp. So that'll be a fun one. And then we'll be back probably right together here on Monday after training camp where I'm going to be there giving my thoughts and everything. So
Yes, sir. Faithful, we're out. Appreciate every single one of you guys. See you guys either, if not tomorrow, on Monday, right after training camp. Appreciate you, Rohan.
let's do it.
Ooh.